The film begins at 5:30 in the evening, where we see a scene of a small town. Inside the town, a man named Boyd is walking through the streets holding a bell in his hand. He keeps ringing the bell, and as soon as people hear it, they understand that they must abandon whatever they are doing and go inside their homes. Friends, that bell is not something ordinary. It is a sign of a very great danger. Whatever people are doing in the town, upon hearing Boyd's bell, they immediately stop and begin heading toward their houses. We then see a little girl playing on a swing in a garden. Her mother tells her, "Come on, dear, go inside." The girl replies that she wants to play a little longer. Standing behind them, Boyd says, "Jenna, listen to your mother." Hearing this, Jenna immediately goes to her mother. On the other side, we see a hospital scene. There too, people have heard the bell. A boy named Kenny is playing chess with his mentally ill father. His father suffers from memory loss and sometimes does not even remember that Kenny is his son. Just then, Christy arrives and says that it's time for them to go downstairs. Saying this, Christy, with the help of a nurse, takes Kenny's father to the basement and then comes outside with Kenny. Outside, Kenny says to Christy, "All right then, I'll leave." Christy smiles and says, "Are you going to keep standing here smiling, or will you actually go?" Friends, Christy knows that Kenny loves her, but he is afraid to confess it. Right after that, Kenny leaves, and we see Christy quickly go back inside the hospital. She carefully places a stone fixed onto the wall, making sure it is secure. Terrified, she too goes down into the hospital basement. Outside, we see Boyd and Kenny looking towards some people standing at a distance. Those people live slightly outside the town. Among them are Boyd's son Ellis and Ellis's wife Fatma. Kenny says, "Don't worry about them, they'll be fine." Saying this, Kenny leaves. The scene then cuts to a bar where a man named Kevin is lying drunk. The bar owner tells Kevin to wake up quickly and go home, but Kevin does not respond. The bar owner then says, "Today your wife is definitely going to kill you." Saying this, he covers all the bar's windows with cloth and places a stone on the wall, exactly like the one we saw Christy placing earlier. On the other side, we see Kevin's wife and daughter waiting only for Kevin. But Kevin's wife soon tells her daughter to go upstairs and locks the house. She places the same kind of stone on the wall that we have seen before. But friends, what is the purpose of this stone, and why is it placed in everyone's house? We will find out later. A little later, we see Kevin's daughter, Jenna, playing with her dolls in her room. Suddenly, she hears a voice outside her room. Jenna asks, "Who is outside?" The voice replies, "Dear, I'm your grandmother, and it's very cold outside. Let me come in." Hearing this, Jenna immediately tries to open the window. From behind, her mother warns her, "Jenna, no matter what, do not open the window." But the woman standing outside says, "Jenna, if you don't open it, I'll die here in the cold." Jenna immediately opens the window. That was all it took. The woman instantly turns into a monster and brutally kills Jenna and her mother. With this, the scene cuts. Now we see a scene of an RV in which a family is traveling for winter vacations. The family includes a man named Jim, his wife Tabitha, their elder daughter Julie, and their younger son Ethan, all laughing and joking together. But on the way, they see a huge tree fallen across the road in front of them. Seeing this, all of them get out of the RV. Jim says, "This tree is very big and very heavy, so we can't move it forward or backward." They start thinking about what to do next when suddenly a large number of crows gather above them and begin making a lot of noise. Seeing this, all four of them become a little scared. Tabitha immediately tells everyone to get back inside the van, and they do so. Once inside, Jim says, "I saw a shortcut back there that goes straight to the highway. So without wasting time, we should take that shortcut." This is where, friends, they made their first and last biggest mistake. Right after that, the scene cuts. Now we see the town again, where Kevin has finally returned home. But a large crowd has gathered outside his house. Seeing this, Kevin immediately realizes that something terrible has happened. At that moment, Boyd comes out of the house and asks him where he had been all night. Kevin replies that he fell asleep inside the bar. Hearing this, Boyd slaps him hard across the face and says, "Come upstairs with me." He shows him the condition of his wife and daughter and says, "This happened because of you. If you hadn't been drunk like a useless alcoholic, they would still be alive today." Kevin says he can't look at their faces. Boyd replies, "You will look, and not only that, you will be punished." Boyd orders Kenny to immediately lock Kevin in the jail cell. After saying this, Boyd goes downstairs where he meets the church priest. His name is Father Kotri. The father asks why he has been called there. Boyd tells him to come upstairs and see for himself. Then the scene cuts. Now we see Jim and his family, who are passing through the town using the same shortcut. As they reach the center of the town, they see that all the townspeople are gathered in a cemetery for a funeral. Yes, this is the very funeral where Kevin's wife and daughter are being buried. Boyd and the others also notice their RV, and they immediately realize that these people will not survive either. Why is that? We are about to find out. Jim gets out of the RV and walks toward the people to explain his situation and ask about the highway. Just then, the funeral ends and everyone starts leaving. Jim tries to talk to a few people, but no one even pays attention to him. Then Boyd asks, "Do you need any help?" Jim replies, "Yes, a tree fell on the highway and blocked the road, so we decided to take a shortcut, but now we seem to be lost. Can you tell us the way to the highway?" Boyd tells him, "Go straight from here. Without taking any turns, after 3 kilometers, you'll reach the highway." Jim thanks Boyd and starts to leave. Boyd casually says, "No problem, buddy. That much we can do for you." Friends, Boyd and Kenny already knew that these people would never be able to leave this place, yet they still didn't stop Jim. Jim gets back into the RV and drives out of the town with his family. They drive for a long time, but they don't find the highway. Tabitha says she thinks the people from the town gave them the wrong directions. Jim replies that he doesn't think so, and even if they did, they can just go back the way they came and find another route. While they are talking, they suddenly realize that they have entered the same town again. Tabitha says, "How is this possible? We didn't take any turns and we didn't even make a U-turn." They stop near a girl named Sarah and ask her for directions, but she doesn't answer and just walks away. They are surprised, but since the townspeople had already seemed strange, they continue driving without asking anyone else. Tabitha says, "If we see any turn this time, we'll take it. This feels like a maze." Jim says, "I've checked the whole road. There are no turns." For the third time, they end up inside the same town again. This finally forces Jim to park the RV. Then he gets an idea. Why not drive in the opposite direction? He immediately makes a U-turn and starts driving out of town. Boyd and Kenny are watching them. Boyd orders that sharp nails be spread on the road so their tires get punctured and they are forced to stop there. On the other side, we see the RV again. Jim and Tabitha notice a car approaching from the front. As Jim slows down to ask for help, the car suddenly speeds toward them. To avoid it, Jim swerves the RV slightly, loses control, and the RV crashes into the forest. The car behind them also crashes into a tree. Now we see the aftermath. Tabitha is unconscious. A large metal rod has pierced Ethan's leg, and Jim and Julie are badly injured. Then we see the car from which a man steps out. He is heavily drunk. He walks straight toward the town and announces that there has been a major accident. Standing there are none other than Boyd and Kenny. Boyd tells Kenny to immediately take the man to the hospital and begin treatment. "I'll go and see what exactly happened back there," he says. In the next scene, we see Kenny bringing the injured man to the hospital, where he hands him over to Christy. Christy tells a nurse to give him first aid immediately. Kenny informs her that there are many more injured people at the crash site, so she needs to hurry and come with him. On the other side, we see the crash car again. A drug addict named Jade steps out of it. He is so heavily intoxicated that nothing around him feels real anymore. When Boyd approaches him and asks if he's okay, Jade replies, "First tell me, are you even real?" Boyd immediately realizes that Jade is under the influence of drugs, so he handcuffs him and leaves him there, saying that help will arrive soon. Then Boyd moves toward the RV. He sees that the RV is in very bad condition. He calls out and Jim answers from inside, saying they are there, but Boyd will have to break the windshield to get in. Boyd manages to open the RV door without breaking the windshield and enters. Inside, he sees Tabitha lying unconscious. After assessing the situation, Boyd tells them that help is on the way and asks them to stay calm. Meanwhile, Father Kotri and Kenny arrive to get Boyd's son, Ellis, because more help is needed. They take Ellis with them and head toward the crash site. As they reach the scene, Christy tells Jade to keep his eyes open. Christy and Kenny then leave Father Kotri with Jade and move toward the RV. Just then, we see Boyd, who has already safely pulled Julie out of the RV. Kenny and Christy arrive at the RV, where Ellis and Kenny manage to revive Tabitha and pull her out as well. Now only Jim and Ethan remain inside. When Christy examines Ethan's condition, she immediately tells Boyd that it will take her 3 hours to treat him, but since night will fall within half an hour, she asks what they should do. Boyd replies that they will have to treat Ethan inside the RV itself. Christy says this is extremely dangerous and that they have never attempted something like this inside a vehicle before. Boyd responds, "Then let's try it today." Kenny becomes worried about Christy, but she tells him not to worry and asks him to take everyone else back to the town. She then goes inside the RV and tells Jim to go meet his wife and daughter because she will need him here. Jim steps out of the RV and reassures Tabitha that their son Ethan will be fine. Tabitha replies that they are being told to go into the town, but she refuses to leave her son behind. Jim looks at Boyd. Boyd explains that he can't properly explain everything that's happening in such little time, but he urges Jim to trust him and go into the town. Jim angrily responds, "Have you gone crazy? Instead of calling an ambulance, you brought your own doctor here, and now you want to lock us inside your houses. I know people like you." Boyd replies, "Think whatever you want, but the forest becomes extremely dangerous at night. I guarantee that nothing will happen to you until morning. At sunrise, you are free to leave. Please, just trust us for one night. That's all I'm asking." Reluctantly, Jim sends his wife Tabitha and daughter Julie toward the town with Boyd's son Ellis and Kenny, while he stays behind with Boyd inside the RV. Night begins to fall. Inside the car are Father Kotri, Jade, Kenny, Julie, and Tabitha, along with Ellis. As they drive toward the town, their car tires suddenly get punctured by the sharp nails that Boyd and Kenny had earlier spread on the road. They immediately pull everyone out of the car and instruct them to start running toward the mansion, no matter what happens. They warn them to ignore anything they see in the forest and not to respond to any voices calling out to them. Just keep running. The scene shifts back to the RV. Jim asks Boyd what he meant by the forest becoming dangerous at night. Jim asks whether he means wild animals or criminals. Boyd replies, "What I'm about to tell you is something you have never seen or heard in your life." Jim is shocked by this. Just then, Ethan starts having severe seizures. Christy tells Jim to hold Ethan's neck steady. Jim asks what's happening to his son. Christy explains that Ethan has lost a lot of blood, and this reaction is normal. Meanwhile, we see the man who caused the crash lying on a hospital bed. Sarah, the same girl Jim and his family had earlier asked for directions, comes to him. She asks why he came here. The man replies that he and his friend were so drunk that they lost their way. Suddenly, for reasons unknown, Sarah stabs a screwdriver into the man's neck, killing him within minutes. The scene cuts. Friends, why Sarah did this will be revealed later. later. Back at the RV, night has fully fallen, and the monsters have surrounded it. When Boyd looks outside, he sees the creatures spread all around them. The monsters call out, "Come outside quickly. We're here to help you." Jim hears their voices and says they're coming to help, asking why Boyd won't let them in. Boyd responds, "Jim, listen, those things are extremely dangerous." Jim says, "If they are dangerous, I'll tell them to take everything we have. Just save my son's life." Saying this, Jim immediately tries to step outside, but Boyd grabs him and slams him firmly against the RV wall. Boyd says, "I'll let you go, but please don't panic and run outside." Jim reluctantly agrees, then says, "You're more dangerous than they are. I don't trust your intentions at all. Those people outside who claim they've come to help us seem far better than you." Boyd replies, "They are not good people." Jim says he doesn't know what kind of people they are. Maybe robbers, maybe good humans, but they are still far less dangerous than Boyd. Boyd answers, "Think whatever you want." On the other side, we see Ellis, Kenny, and Father Kotri heading toward the mansion with the others. It starts raining heavily as they run, and they get very close to the mansion. Suddenly, Jade slips, hits his head on a rock, and loses consciousness. Kenny and Ellis quickly pick him up and reach the mansion door. They immediately start knocking loudly. Inside the mansion, a man refuses to let anyone open the door, insisting that they must be monsters. But finally, the mansion's owner, a woman named Donna, comes forward, pushes the man aside, and opens the door. Outside, Julie sees her boyfriend standing there, but he is actually a monster disguised as her boyfriend. He tells her he has come to help. Julie starts walking toward him, but Kenny shoots at the creature and pulls Julie inside. Julie realizes that the bullet had no effect on it. At that moment, they all finally see the monsters with their own eyes. As soon as they enter the mansion, Donna orders everyone to be tied up because she doesn't know whether they are humans or monsters. Ellis protests, saying they shouldn't treat people like this, but Donna replies that these are the mansion's rules. Reluctantly, Ellis ties them up. Back at the RV, Christy is very close to removing the metal rod from Ethan's leg. Jim asks Boyd to finally tell him the truth. Boyd explains that every day at exactly 6 p.m., everyone in the town goes inside their homes, locks all doors and windows, and places a special kind of stone on the door. Somehow, those stones protect them from the monsters. Hearing this, Jim finally begins to believe Boyd, because even in the heavy rain and cold, the monsters are still standing outside. A normal human couldn't survive out there like that, yet these creatures roam freely after nightfall. Elsewhere, we see Sarah, now filled with regret over what she has done. She breaks down and cries uncontrollably. But friends, what Sarah did to that man was nothing compared to what she is about to do next. It will be far more dangerous. After some time inside the mansion, Donna frees Julie, Tabitha, and Jade, as she is now convinced that they are not monsters. Julie goes to Ellis's room, where Ellis tells her that he is deeply worried about his father, and that her father is also still in the RV. He asks her to pray that they survive. Julie says she has many questions, and Ellis replies that slowly, all the answers will come. Downstairs, Donna asks Tabitha why they came to this town. Tabitha says she doesn't know. They were heading to the highway, but when the road was blocked and they took a shortcut, they got trapped here. Donna reassures her and says they will help them as much as possible. In the next scene, inside the RV, Christy carefully removes the metal rod from Ethan's leg. Ethan regains consciousness and tells his father that he's in a lot of pain. Jim comforts him, saying, "Just hold on a little longer, son. We'll go home soon." But in reality, friends, they were never going to leave this place. Boyd and Christy know this, but Jim and Ethan have no idea how deep the danger they are trapped in truly is. Back in the town, we see a hospital scene where a nurse puts Kenny's father to sleep. When she goes upstairs, she discovers that the man she had earlier treated has been murdered. Terrified, she rushes back toward the basement because Kenny's father is alone there. Her fear turns out to be justified. At the basement door, she sees two monsters standing there, staring at her with terrifying smiles. The scene cuts immediately. Next, we see a van scene where somehow the dangerous night has finally passed. As morning arrives, Kenny brings everyone back into town, but he is completely shocked to see that during the night, the monsters brutally killed his father. Kenny is utterly shattered and breaks down, hugging his father's dead body and crying uncontrollably. Friends, Jim and his family now fully understand that deadly monsters roam freely at night in this place, and that Boyd and the other townspeople were never their enemies. They were actually trying to protect them. But now the biggest question is, how will Jim and his family ever get out of this place? This deeply troubles them. They have realized that escaping this town is almost impossible, because if it were possible, the other residents would have left long ago. Friends, Kenny's father was killed because of Sarah, and the reason behind her actions will be revealed later. With this atmosphere of fear and mystery, this part of the series comes to an end. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe the channel. I will meet you in the next part. Until then, take care, bye.